and were very, very patient with me because I had a short attention span, I had a hard time sitting still, and I hated school. Please, teachers in the room. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. When you have me in your classroom, I'm sure you've got many versions of me, just a little bit of patience because you never know how we're going to turn out. I hated English class. When I got to high school, my family was going through some very, very difficult things. My father was a veteran of World War II and had a pretty severe PTSD. And that brought with it all kinds of sadness and sorrow. So I got to high school kind of with my fist clenched. I was one of those teenagers struggling a lot at home and not transitioning well to the real world. And then I got to 9th grade and they handed me The Old Man and the Sea. And I was like, come on. I was reading everything in the library. I was often going to the library instead of going to class. So I was a voracious reader, but I was not connecting with those books. I figured that those high school assignments, that's why God made Cliff Notes. And I thought that the whole concept of the revision writing process was a bunch of you-know-what, and I thought it was a torture device, so I ignored it. I didn't go to college right away. I worked on farms, and then I went to community college. I'm a proud graduate of Onondaga Community College in Syracuse, New York. That's where my brain turned on, in large part because I had done some much-needed maturing, but also because I had to pay for college myself, and I'm a cheap Yankee. So instead of, and I was milking cows to pay for college and shoveling what came out the back end of them. So instead of sitting in the back row and daydreaming, I sat in the front row and I asked questions. And when I didn't understand what the teacher said, I would ask her to repeat herself over and over until that annoying person in the back of the room would go, right? And I would turn around and say, did you write my tuition check? Because I'm pretty sure you didn't write my tuition check. Miss, can you explain that again? So I kind of transformed in those years at community college into somebody, oh please, thank you for joining us, into somebody who was hungry for the life of the mind. I became a writer kind of by accident. I've always written for fun. I'd always read for fun. But when I was a poor young mother, I needed a job I could work at night. And it came down to a choice between pizza delivery or working for a local newspaper. And my then husband, said one of the kindest things he ever said to me, because I was leaning towards pizza delivery. Because I was younger and cuter and better put together, I figured the tips would be awesome. And he said, well, you know, my dear, you're always reading and writing. Maybe there's more of a future in journalism than pizza delivery. I was like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. So I wound up becoming a journalist, freelance writer. I wound up writing for the Philadelphia Inquirer. I do think that has a big part of why I wound up writing for children. Because when you're a journalist, you cannot mess around. You have to get to the point, get to it quick, tell your story, and get out. That's what our readers expect, because they have a lot of demands on their time. I transitioned to wanting to write for kids when I had children of my own. And that's when my bad school habits came around and bit me in the rear end. Because I had the totally wrong understanding. I thought that if you were a real author, talented, which of course I assumed I was, what you would write in a first draft after checked for spelling would be what would be published. I thought that's how it worked. So I wrote all these first drafts and sent them out, and they came flying back, supersonic speed, with hundreds of rejection letters. And this went on for several years. As I told the kids today, I was this deadly combination of arrogant and ignorance. Ooh, not good when you combine them. And I finally had a couple of very dark nights of the soul in which I had to kind of face my own failings and recognize that it wasn't working, this dream of mine. I didn't know enough. And I think that when you can kind of hug your mistakes and go, yep, I'm not doing it right, but I want to learn how to do it better, that's when I started to evolve. I now love revision. Actually, nowadays, writing a first draft is a huge challenge because it's hard for me to turn off the critic in my brain. But for me, revision is the most fun part of writing because you're taking something that's not great enough yet and you're making it better. You're always making things better, and that can be a very, very rewarding cycle. So there's three halves to my writing brain. One half is my YA contemporary fiction, books like Speak and things like that. And I'm very happy later on to entertain questions about those books, but I want you to recognize that we have a very wide variety of ages here in this audience, so we're discretion. I also, the one subject I paid attention to in school was